Everyone, I hope you're doing well. Godzilla fans that are also comic book fans, I think this is news that might interest you, and that is Godzilla Aftershock, a prequel graphic novel that is coming out prior to the release of Godzilla King of the Monsters. Now, I have personally not really read too many Godzilla graphic novels or comics at all, so I don't really have much of an opinion on if there's any out there that are good or not. I've really maybe read a Godzilla comic book in passing from like the 70s, a long time ago, and I can't even really remember what was in it, so I don't really have much of an opinion if anybody has any well-written Godzilla comic books or graphic novels or manga or what have you that's out there. So I don't really have much of an opinion about that, so I don't know whether or not this is going to be good or if anybody that they're putting on it is particularly going to be any good. But again, this is something that if you're a fan of both comic books, kaiju, or Godzilla, this might interest you. So I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description below so you guys can check out this article for yourself. It's from Newsarama, but let's go ahead and jump into it, and then I'll give some brief thoughts afterwards. Okay, so this is actually a press release from Legendary, and it says, in anticipation of next summer's big screen blockbuster Godzilla King of the Monsters, Legendary Comics announces the thrilling companion graphic novel Godzilla Aftershock, written by Arvid Nelson and art by Drew Edward Johnson. Continuing the story of 2014's Godzilla after the catastrophic events in San Francisco, the King of the Monsters finds himself once again threatened as a terrifying new foe rises from the depths of the earth, unleashing a series of devastating earthquakes and driven by unstoppable primal instinct that will test the King of the Monsters like never before. Godzilla Aftershock will be available online and in stores in spring 2019. Godzilla Aftershock is yet another exhilarating entry into the canon of the Monsterverse, and it is especially exciting to introduce fans to a brand new original monster unique to the comic but true to the legacy of Godzilla, said Robert Napton, Senior Vice President of Legendary Comics. Introducing characters from the upcoming movie, the graphic novel also invites readers to delve further into the activities of the cryptozoological agency Monarch. The brilliant and driven Monarch operative Dr. Emma Russell races to stop the threat as clues emerge to reveal a terrible secret, a tragedy of apocalyptic proportions from the distant past that changed the course of human history is returning to threaten it once more. A shadowy figure stalks Emma's every move as she travels the globe to uncover secrets, while Godzilla clashes in an ancient rivalry as old as the Earth itself. The fate of the world lies in the balance in an epic confrontation that no Godzilla fan will want to miss. For those of you that have been longtime subscribers, you pretty much already know my opinion on Godzilla 2014, and it's not the best, but I am excited for Godzilla King of the Monsters, and it's one that I will be watching in the theater. I'm genuinely excited for that one. So this sounds a little bit interesting. I like the idea that they're going to have a kaiju in it, an original kaiju that is just going to appear in this comic book. I think that's definitely a good way to sell the comic book. Now, whether or not the story will be good, I mean, of course, it's one of those things you just are going to have to wait and see and read it. But it is intriguing that they are going that route of laying the groundwork with a prequel comic and using a completely original monster that they feel kind of will fall into the mythos of Godzilla. Now, whether or not this monster will be something that we see later on down the line, that's not something that of course is mentioned here, but I would like to think that if they are doing an exclusive monster for this comic to kind of lay the groundwork there for the Monsterverse and really build it up more, you would want whatever monster they create in this, especially if it's a monster that is worthy to be part of the pantheon of Godzilla enemies, you would want to see him appear later on. So I guess it just all depends on how this comic, or I should say this graphic novel, is going to be received, and whether or not the kaiju that they introduce in this is believable and really lives up, I guess, to the spirit of the Godzilla movies. Because there's one thing, if there's one thing I could say honestly, at least about Godzilla 2014, was that to a degree, I would say it definitely felt more like Godzilla than, of course, the 1998 Godzilla, which didn't really have the spirit of the Godzilla movies behind it. I thought the 2014 one did just a little bit more, but I didn't really think that it was the redeeming American movie that so many other people thought it was. I mean, was it a big step up? Absolutely 100%. I'm still waiting to see which Godzilla movie is going to be the one that it's like, all right, this is it. This absolutely totally feels like Godzilla. This is what Godzilla is all about. I'm hoping that King of the Monsters will do that. And hopefully maybe this graphic novel prior to will kind of help with that. That it'll help kind of lay that groundwork and act as maybe a little bit of a catalyst for that. But until it actually comes out, we'll have to wait and see. It's one that I'm semi-interested in reading it. I like the whole idea of the Monarch agency, you know, or group, or however they want to be, however you would want to classify them. I think the whole idea of that is very interesting in tying this whole MonsterVerse together. So maybe they'll flesh that out a little bit more in this comic, which is something that I would like to see, because Monarch it's interesting, and it's still something that even with Kong Skull Island, you learned a little bit more about it. Definitely, I would say you definitely learn a lot more about Monarch in Kong Skull Island than you did in Godzilla 2014, in my opinion. I think they fleshed that out a little bit more, and what their motives are and things like that. But I'm hoping that at least in this comic book, in Godzilla Aftershock, it's something that they could really add a little bit more to the mythos of Monarch. That would be nice to have them flesh Monarch out a little bit more. That's something that truly interests me, even more so than the kaiju that they're going to introduce in this. But let's see what that kaiju is going to look like. Maybe it'll look really cool, and if it's something that looks really cool, really menacing, and really fits with the feel of Godzilla, I would hope that maybe down the line it's a monster that they could introduce into the films. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Is this something that interests you, excites you? Do you not care for Godzilla comic books at all, or kaiju comics in general? Let me know in the comments section below. Until next time, y'all know how it goes. The hunt continues.